Hi, this is Brendan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and I'm here with Adam Balderstone for an episode of Bedrock and Balderstone. We're talking about the Ghost Monument, which is the second episode of Season 11 of Doctor Who. And it basically follows right on the heels of the first one where they got teleported into space, and now we pick up on that thread, and they end up kind of on like a Survivor-like situation. It's like the ultimate space race. Where they have to survive on this really toxic planet where like the bacteria in the water can kill you, and there's robots that are robot snipers shooting for you, and ultimately, and this isn't spoiling anything because you know it from the very beginning of the episode. They don't play games with this. For the Doctor and the companions, the episode is really about getting back to the TARDIS. That's sort of the goal of the race for them. I don't know if I did a good synopsis of the episode, but Adam, what did you think of the story here?
This was fine. It was a perfectly okay episode. I was a little disappointed, like so early. It felt like this was one of those average episodes. It didn't have a whole lot of meat to it to me, but it was fine. I didn't hate it or anything, but it's interesting setting up that there's so many coincidences in this episode too. I'm like, a lot of coincidences. I mean, obviously them getting picked up in space, but then the whole TARDIS thing, then the stanza, then having the stanza involved too. It's like, I was trying to think back to the previous episode. I'm like, there's no logical reason the stanza would be involved.
Well, I think the stanza are going to be the ongoing.
Well, I know that's kind of my point. Yeah. It's like they're the ones that are coincidentally showing up because they coincidentally show up. It's like I don't know. It disappointed me a little bit because one thing I was excited about this episode is that they announced ahead of time we're not using any of the classic aliens at all this season. I thought that's great because, having the coincidence of running into the Daleks every season is, the Daleks are fine, but like makes the universe feel really small. Yep. And here it is, we're 2 episodes in, and they've already used their new aliens to make the universe feel really small.
See, I guess I was okay with it only because I'm so used to coincidences on Doctor Who, it doesn't really
I'm okay with the coincidences overall. I say that was the one coincidence that disappointed me. Okay. So I was just like, okay, so we're already, even though we're doing all new aliens, already back to there. They just pop up every week.
But I have to admit, I was intrigued by it because I liked the idea that, there's more to this Stenza group than just.
Well, me too. Yeah. I just felt like it would have been interesting if they'd somehow tied, instead of it being a coincidence, if because they used the Stenza teleporter, for example, maybe, or if it had something to do with where the TARDIS went, had something to do with the Stenza or something. I just felt like it could have. It still could.
It still could because when she went into the TARDIS, I was feeling dreadful the whole time they were going into the TARDIS because there was like an atmosphere to that scene, and I was did the TARDIS? I was a little worried too. So I'm wondering if there is maybe more of a reason, but like you said, it might just be they just put it there, and but I think I had a slightly more positive reaction to the episode than you, but I still wouldn't say I thought it was like a marvelous episode. I kept getting like glimpses, I kept feeling like, ooh, this is really intriguing, or ooh, this is really cool, but then I would kind of get let down by the way it was handled. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was kind of disappointed, but also I really did enjoy the episode, if that makes any sense. Like
I enjoyed the episode fine. So let me state the fact that I'm coming down with a bug. I'm very achy, and I'm tired, and I'm cranky. So I'm really, really focusing on the bad parts of the episode.
There's a lot to criticize in this episode. But
I just want to justify that. Watching this episode was fine. I was like, that was an okay episode.
This is what I was picking up on.
More.
I feel like you're giving it a C, and I'm giving it like a B or a B minus. Like that's what I feel. So that's why I was making the distinction of I think I was a little bit more favorable than you were with this episode. But I think that again, for me, it was frustrating seeing these really cool moments. Like I felt like when they first went to that to the ruins, I was like, "Ooh, something about this reminds me of Ringworld." I don't know why, but I got like a Ringworld vibe, and I was really excited. And it just, it just didn't. I don't know, something about the way that it felt on the interior just didn't impress me as much as my imagination had before they entered. I liked a lot of the stuff though. I liked the sort of moment on the ship where they were all kind of like in the bacteria infested water, and what was the guy's name? I can't remember the guy.
Epso.
Epso. He had like the best bad mom story ever.
That was pretty good. I gotta give the episode that one. That was.
But here's the thing that I thought was funny about so number one, just for people who didn't, I don't know why you'd be listening if you didn't watch, but like he gives this story of like how his mom told him to climb into a tree, and she said, "Now jump and I'll catch you. I'm your mom." And then he jumps and she steps out of the way, and she says, "Now you've learned. Don't trust anybody in this world." And so one of the reasons I like that is because that's something you would totally see in like a wuxia movie or something like that.
It was very wuxia,
But number two, I feel like they did that to make a point, and I don't know. I feel like maybe because of the wuxia thing and all that stuff, I didn't have the same response that the Doctor had to that story. Like, number one, my wife's a Theravada Buddhist, and the thing that he said to them, which is, you come into this world alone and you leave alone, she says all the time, and it's all a product of the Buddha. And I feel like they maybe didn't quite realize how. I think they were going for a particular target with that thing, and they didn't realize that it's a little bit more of a. There's a lot of world philosophies that have this idea embedded in it, and so just as a matter of philosophy, I didn't agree with the point that they were trying to make with that. But I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was a really interesting feature for this character to have, and I thought that just the fact that this guy's mom did that to him was that was kind of like a hardcore detail to have in a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah, I suppose too the Doctor's viewpoint would be more nuanced too, because the Doctor is a character that's lived for thousands of years, and every single friend they've ever had has come and gone.
Well, also,
so it's like it's. I think there would be a more nuanced view, definitely.
Well, she was incredibly judgmental of him, and I felt like it was a little bit out of character because this is a series where I could easily see like there being a planet where there's a really good reason for the parents to train their kids that way or something. Do you know what I mean? Unless, and I wasn't clear. Yeah. I wasn't clear. Was his mom like an anomaly? Was she just like a jerk among the people that they were a part of, or was that a product of the planet that they were from? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's. I feel like too they're leaning a little. I mean, the new series overall through the various showrunners has always been bad about this, but I feel they've retained the thing of having the Doctor spending too much time talking about what they're like and telling us what they're like instead of letting us just see what they're like. I mean, it's like, her it's like she repeatedly, in both these. I mean, like I said, it didn't bother me last episode. It was starting to get to me this episode. It was just like, okay, you have to keep hammering home. It's like, it's enough for us to see you and be, influenced by what you do. But I don't know. I wish that they'd scale it back a bit.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that there. It was a little heavy-handed, I think. But my biggest complaint about the episode, just if we're going to talk criticisms, was the shaky cam stuff in the editing. There was I don't know what shaky cam might be the wrong word, but when they were on the ship as it was crashing, it was really like something about the way that scene was shot or the effects they had overlaid on the scene made it look like really bad CG, even though it was like supposed to be a live action sequence. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the editing throughout the episode, sometimes I thought it was useful because it helped elapse time where I thought time should be elapsed. But there were other moments where, especially during the action and especially when they were moving from point A to point B, where they edited it in like a really junky kind of a way, and it really made things confusing for me. at times. Like I was a little unclear on what actions were going on during certain scenes and how much time had elapsed from one scene to the next sometimes. And I feel like it was because they were editing it a little bit oddly. And I couldn't put my finger on what it was exactly, but the editing just seemed kind of, I wouldn't say sloppy. I feel like they were making a stylistic choice that had consequences I didn't really like.
Didn't care for you. I did not notice it as much. I might need to rewatch it and look for that. It didn't jump out at me, at least. But yeah, it's another thing that talking out of character doctor things. It's like, the show had already set up that, okay, this ghost monument like reappears and disappears. We knew it was the TARDIS, and it comes and goes, and they get there and it's not there, and it's like, oh, okay, it hasn't appeared yet. Yeah. It's like the obvious reaction I had as an audience member. Oh, okay, it's going to pop up soon. And the doctor's like, oh, it's not here. We're all going to die. There's nothing we can do. There's no hope, which is a really undoctory thing in the first place. But it's like, give it 5 minutes. It's going to show up.
So here was my reading of that. I actually thought that was a good part of the episode. Like, really? Yeah. So number one, I mean, obviously that's what was going to happen. The audience knew that. Like, I think it wasn't meant to be a surprise when it showed up. But I think the fact that she reacted that way and that the companions were all like, "No, we're fine. We're going to wait for it," right? Like they were all. It
was a good moment for the companions. I agree with that.
But what I thought was nice about it is like, okay, there's something there. There's like that's maybe a little bit of a character flaw that this doctor is going to have. And so I thought that we were either that or something that, I don't know, maybe they want, like maybe it's still sort of the leftover from the regeneration, but it was a detail that I thought kind of brought it a little bit more into the Capaldi style of Doctor, which I liked. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, there's like a dark note here that is because I know a lot of people were really pissed off about Capaldi and they didn't like that he was so dark, and I liked that he was dark. And a lot of people were saying, well, now we can have like a cheery Doctor again, and they're like, that's good. I want the Doctor to be cheery and be like, I love Tennant, I love that style of Doctor, but I think that
Tennant throughout his last 2 years was about the gloomiest Doctor there was.
But fair enough. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
I know what you're saying.
When the transition to Capaldi happened, there was a sense that the show had been betrayed because he was dark, and now we have to return to like a optimistic and positive Doctor. But it's boring if he doesn't have any darkness to him. Do you know what I mean? Because he's this ancient being that's lived for so long and can travel through time and has seen everything and has done lots of questionable things. So it just, you can't, I felt like the worst thing for the show would have been to kind of like almost whitewash all the darkness. Do you know what I mean? Like sort of just like go through and.
Oh, sure. No, I'm not, I don't have a problem with the Doctor having some kind of dark mood. I just felt like, it had already been established. She'd literally been told that this thing would appear, and that it wouldn't necessarily be there right away. So it was just like it was a really weird thing to jump to. But
no, and I would, if that's an isolated thing, I would agree with your assessment of it. If it turns out to, go ahead.
I'll say, we'll just kind of bookmark that, and we'll keep an eye on that trait and see if it comes up again. Like, but yeah, it's I mean, it wasn't something that ruined the episode or anything, but I was just like, it's just one of those little moments that kind of threw me off for a second. But yeah, the new TARDIS though, we got to see the new TARDIS design. And
what did you think of the new TARDIS?
I haven't made up my mind yet. It's interesting. I feel like I need to see it more in use before I can really, see the Doctor flying it around a bit, get the sense of where people hang out in it, that kind of thing. I mean, I have not made up my mind yet. I didn't instantly fall in love with it. I'll say that, but I didn't hate it. But I'm not sure yet.
Yeah,
what did you think of it?
I don't think I liked it. I think it's a little bit too cloudy and amber, and
it's very dark, very very dark, which seemed an odd choice, but
I mean, and amber's not necessarily bad, but this was like the darkness and the amber together made it, I don't know, just too opaque for me. You know, it's you know, to me the design of the TARDIS isn't that important in terms of my enjoyment of the show.
I can live it. It's an odd choice in contrast with like the new look of the Doctor, which is somewhat ridiculous in an entertaining way, to me at least. And so it's like, you know, it's kind of like a Doctor with a whimsical outfit, this kind of weird, brooding internal TARDIS. But,
well, and this came up in when I posted this, RPG Pundit had commented, and we got into the topic of the outfit, and I realized we have not commented on the outfit at all, as far as I can remember. We might have done it so in passing. So, you know, what is your take on the new outfit now that you've had a chance? Because we had a chance to see it in action now.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it last week. We got so much to talk about last week. I like the outfit. It's pretty silly. But yeah, it's fine. It's a bunch of random things the Doctor pulled out of a thrift shop, which is, you know, not too different than, you know, basically the look you get with Tom Baker or something, where it's a bunch of stuff that he threw together. It's just random thrift shop clothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like I'm still sort of deciding. Like I think it's fine. Like I think it works for the character. I think the one part I don't like is the trim on the pants, the whatever you call it. I just feel like they need to be lengthened. I really don't like the length of the pants. I think I could accept the rest of the outfit, but that's the part that just drives me crazy every time I see it. The sort of eclectic look is fine to me. And again, you know, I expect the Doctor to be pretty eccentric and to be kind of odd, and the dress is the way the Doctor is dressed is part of that. And so, you know, I think the outfit being like loud and a bit, you know, ugly is fine. As long as that's what they're going for. As long as if this is something that's supposed to be nice looking, then I would have to render a different judgment. But that's not my assessment of what they're trying to do. My assessment is they're trying to give you sort of a loud, you know, very tacky look.
Well, I think you mentioned before the show that you know, like the reaction from the companions is negative when she comes out, but it's like it's not like the show creators are thinking, check out this awesome outfit we threw together. It's it's within the world of the show, it is supposed to be somewhat ridiculous.
So if the companions looked at her and said, hey, that's a great outfit, then my reaction would be totally different. Do you know what I mean? But because like their reaction pairs with the reality of what it is, I think it works. But again, I gotta say that the length of the pants, I don't know why that really, like, it itches me when I see it. Like it's like it's like maybe it's an obsessive compulsive thing, but I just feel like the pants need to be longer. I
find that one of the endearing quirks of the outfit, but that's just something we have to disagree on.
We'll have to settle it with violence, and I don't think there's an easy way around this insurmountable
I think
issue.
This podcast is over. Yeah. I'm going to set up a separate review from now on. It's but no, I mean, it was. I feel like on the whole, though, the show is working fine. It was just, I think it was kind of a case with the previous episode. There was kind of this build-up feeling of excitement I was getting towards the adventure. And then it just being a typical kind of placeholder episode was just like, oh, okay. Well, but there's things that can build out of this. This episode might be better in retrospect, because I feel clearly the guy running the race in this, he is a guy who hugely has a comeuppance coming, and he did not get his comeuppance. That guy will be back before the end of the season, and he will get his comeuppance, I guarantee.
That should be interesting. I also have to say I did like that guy. The guy that I don't know who the actor is. and what was the character name? Did he have
Ilan? And Art Malik is the character, the actor's name. Sorry.
He really I thought did a good job. And I think if that guy does turn out to be a big villain or anything, it'll be I think it'll work.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that and Angstrom. We may even see Angstrom and Epso again too, because I mean, the question is, what happens to them next? It's like they've gone off with this really dubious character who's promised them, fine, you can split this big reward I'm going to give you, but is that not going to happen? I'd be entirely willing to believe something very different will happen. So yeah, I mean, there may be this. You know, I mean, maybe once all this stuff unfolds, I'll look back on this episode and it'll go from being a C to a B or even higher. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, I do agree with you. I think I kind of wanted a stronger episode as the first adventure. Like, I definitely think an A episode would have been a better lead into the season. But if it's setting important groundwork, I think it's good. And I thought that, you know, the episode was fine. It, you know, like B or B minus. But yeah, I think the parts that I really enjoyed about it, now that I'm thinking back, really have more to do with getting to know these characters and a lot of that, those kinds of details. Like there was a whole thing between Ryan and Graham that I thought was good, where they kind of, you know, like I thought they did a good job of kind of easing into that in between the action there, and I thought that and again, that story that what was his? I keep forgetting his name. Epso. That was the best story I've ever heard. Like I really enjoyed that, and I liked his character. I thought he was like a fun character.
I would like to see Angstrom and Epso return. So my prediction that maybe they'll return is also like I'd be up for more of those characters.
Go ahead.
At the beginning of the episode, just when they're on board the ships, it's like they were immediately kind of engaging characters.
He's kind of like the Merle of the series. Do you know what I mean? He's like that kind of character. Like I imagine they're probably going to shave down some of the rougher edges as if they want to keep him as a recurring character. But I could definitely stand to have him in future episodes.
No, it is like I said, I'm in a bad mood because I'm sick, and so I spent the early part of the episode griping endlessly about it. But there's a lot of things I liked in this episode. One thing to bring up too is there was clearly a very deliberate Hitchhiker's Guide riff at the beginning, where obviously you have the people for Hitchhiker's Guide, the people that are floating in space that randomly get picked up by a spaceship is first of all, but then within about a minute of that happening, I believe it was Graham that says it, is he says don't panic, like almost immediately, and I was like, okay, yeah. They're really, really going with the Hitchhiker's Guide thing here.
Which is, I mean, fitting, because we did some Douglas Adams episodes last year, right, on the old Who, right, the classic Who episodes.
No, we haven't done it. Douglas Adams is later in the Tom Baker run.
Oh, so we didn't get to the Douglas Adams ones? Okay. No. We'll have to make a point of doing that this season, then, if we can, because that should be, if they're going with the Hitchhiker's Guide theme, I think, it might shed some light. We might want to pay close attention to those Douglas Adams episodes. There was another detail I liked too, which was the point where she got Audrey Hepburn and Pythagoras confused when she had the sunglasses. Yes. She couldn't remember who she got them from, and she was saying, it's either Audrey Hepburn or Pythagoras. I like the humor that they've been using in the show so far. There was when they first appeared in the tent. And they were, at first the companions mistake Epso and what was the woman's name? Angstrom?
Angstrom, yes.
They mistake them for other human beings, and then it comes to light, oh no, they're these aliens from other planets. And I think Graham says something like, we're all human beings here. And she says, I'd never even heard of a moomin being.
Yes.
And it was very Tim Shaw in delivery.
Yeah, it was another joke that it a dumb joke, but it made me laugh.
Yeah.
So it was yeah, it worked for. It felt very Farscape, is what it felt like. It felt like a very Farscape joke.
I have actually not seen Farscape. I know I'm supposed to have seen it, but I have to admit, all of the enthusiasm for it online drove me away from ever watching it. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's a human character who's stranded off in space amongst aliens. So it's just endlessly full of people having absolutely no interest in humans at all.
Well, I forget how you persuaded me to do Babylon 5, but basically, like, if somebody comes up to me and is like, "This is the best show, you have to watch it," I will not watch it. It's a guarantee that I won't. And that's kind of what happened with Farscape, and it's sort of what happened with Babylon 5 originally, and then I became curious, and decades later decided to watch it.
Yeah. Well, maybe in 20 years we'll do a Farscape podcast.
I'll put it in the calendar. But again, I think my biggest criticism of this episode, and it really, really did bother me, was the editing and the shaky cam. That was the stuff that really was getting under my skin. Especially when they were like walking and talking. I didn't like that the camera was like, it looked like it was somebody that was among them walking too. I don't want to get seasick when I watch a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like dynamic editing is fine. I just don't want to have everything shaking all the time.
Yeah, I've never been very sensitive to that, like, as a thing that bothers me, like, the shaky cam, all that kind of stuff. It's like, so it didn't, it really didn't register with me, because it's just not an issue for me at all in anything. So.
But and I know that there's like a lot of these things like lens flare and stuff like that people will go on about that they would never notice if somebody didn't point it out to them. But shaky cam is one that I think is like a legitimate bad technique that gets way overused. Yeah,
even though it doesn't bother me. I mean, it's like how with video games that are first person, some people get sick, and so when you hear people getting upset that a game will be first person, it's because they will literally get nauseous if they try and play this game, and some people get nauseous because of shaky cam. So I get that people aren't purely being aesthetic when they dislike it. It bothers them.
What I dislike about shaky cam is it just makes everything so confusing. Like, I can't see what's going on. And sometimes that's good. Like, I think they might have done a little bit of it in Saving Private Ryan, but it made sense because it's like D-Day, and you know what I mean?
I often hate quick cutting. Quick cutting is something, it can be done well, but it is rarely done well.
Now, what's the definition of a quick cut, just so I know that I'm talking?
Oh, just when you keep cutting like every few seconds in an action scene, boom, you'll cut from one shot to another shot to another shot. And it's like, usually the result is that you've got people running around and trying to hit each other or shooting, but you don't really have any sense of the scene and where anybody is. I mean, when it's done well, which it rarely is, you get a great, almost comic book like panel effect of like boom, boom. It makes everything even more clear, but it is so rarely done well.
No, and that's the thing. Usually what shaky cam is used for is just to disguise that the actor can't do the fight scene. Do you know what I mean? The actor can't shoot a gun.
The same with quick cuts. Quick cuts are another thing. It's done just because it's like, okay, well, have a pose. One person poses. Quick cut to another person in a different pose. And
here I felt like they were doing it to kind of get you immersed in the desert experience or wherever they were, walking through the barren region. And it just had the opposite effect on me. I just realized
the fact they were shooting in the desert. They just didn't have an easy way to set up their cameras, so they just had a dude walking around with it.
Yeah, I guess that's another. I mean, I like techniques when they're used to good effect. I didn't think that was used to good effect there. But yeah. So anyways, we've only gone on for 30 minutes here, but both Adam and I have a game in about 10 minutes. And so
I'll just put in my last minute thing though, which is my last comment has to be, hey, BBC America, do you need to show a segment from the next segment of the show during the ads the way they were doing a clip? Here's a 10-second clip from the next segment of the show with the words "stay tuned."
That is infuriating.
That is and they used to do that like 10 years ago and they stopped. It's like, why are you doing this again? Everyone hated it.
Well, what I hate about it is at first I think I missed something because it's like usually like 20 minutes ahead, and so I'm like, wait, did I miss something? Are they just jumping to some important scene? And it's like, oh no, this is a preview of what's going to happen, and I don't need this preview to get. I'm watching the show already,
and it just jumps into the clip. It's not like there's any context that it's an ad or any promotional thing. It just jumps into this clip from an ad, and you feel like you're watching the show, and then you realize 15 seconds later, oh, I got tricked. That's just it's like it's just, you know, like the first one showed Angstrom and Yaz. Angstrom and Yaz talking to each other, and it's like the last thing we saw was them splitting off in different directions, and then we have a scene of Angstrom and Yaz talking to each other, and I'm like, what's going on? Yeah. Wait.
It's disorienting, and it's mildly insulting because BBC America already has so many commercials, and then it's like you're just delaying me more from seeing Doctor Who. Like you just added like an extra 30 seconds of me not watching this episode by teasing me with something that's going to happen in the episode in 15 minutes. And also, I don't think that those previews are well chosen because a lot of the time they end up spoiling a part of the episode because you figure out why that's going on. Do you know what I mean? Like we're not stupid. We can put 2 and 2 together and we can kind of extrapolate based on a small amount of data. But also it sometimes it just like doesn't. It's not exactly like they showed him climbing up a ladder. Like it wasn't. You know, he climbed up a ladder and she said, "I believe in you." It was not the part of the episode to highlight at all.
Well, back on the show, I think it was Primordial. It was called. Like they used to do the same trick when BBC America ran that, and it would always be the jump scare in the next section. It would always be, and here's the part where the monster jumps out. And it's like you just ruined that for no reason. It's like, oh, a monster's going to jump out of the water and pull someone off the dock. It's like.
I think it's because Daleks must run BBC America. That's the.
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
But
I just have to get that out. We have to make that a segment at the end of every podcast. Is what BBC America did wrong.
We're eventually going to run out of things to say.
I don't think we will. They'll find new things. I have
you have full confidence.
Lack of faith in BBC America.
But but anyways, like I said, we're gonna have to cut this episode a little bit early because we have a game to go to. But we'll be back on. I don't even know what's the next episode is Rosa Parks, right? Is that the
Rosa Parks is the theme. The episode is called Rosa. So
And so we'll be back on next week to talk about Rosa, and we'll also be on this week later in the week to finish up I, Claudius, so people should come in and check that out. It's the final episode, right? We're on the last episode of I, Claudius?
We are on the last episode, yeah. It's pulled my Acorn subscription into a whole other month because we've been going so slow.
Yeah, we've taken very long to get through I, Claudius, but I think it's like eating a fine chocolate. You just kind of have to savor every bite. That's the way to look at
it.
Right.
Yeah. That's right.
But yeah. So we will get going, and we will talk to you later.